And a very good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Hockey Night Abroad Flyers pregame show. Tonight, the Philadelphia Flyers play host to the Florida Panthers after a 5-day, basically like a 5-day, guess you can say mini bye week, if you know what I mean, as they take on the Florida Panthers as they meet for the second time this season. A pleasant good evening, everybody. I'm your host, James Scorza, here with you once again for another installment of Hockey Night Abroad, as the Flyers are going to try to win 4 out of the last 5. And tonight they take on a Florida team that is second in the division. And the Flyers are climbing closer and closer to playoff position as they get ready for this second matchup. And the first of, I guess, the first of three meeting, or the first meeting of the year between the Flyers and Florida here in South Philadelphia. Like we always do before we get into our great game here tonight, but before we go any further, we are on the social media platforms of Streampunk Entertainment and also our friends over at Hardcore Sports Network on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, whatever you need. And that's basically the social media platform. So if you want to chime in and just say let's go Flyers, by all means, also check out every show on the networks that I just mentioned over at Streampunk Entertainment and also Hardcore Sports Network as we get closer and closer to the Flyers and Panthers. And like we always do on the first a few meetings here, we always talk about the previous game and a recap of what the previous game was on last Saturday when the Flyers took on the St. Louis Blues up in St. Louis, Missouri. And the Flyers looking to try to get off to getting off to a real better start like they did and many times before in the season. And St. Louis still trying to find their identity and their new head coach in Jim Montgomery on this very important Saturday night. To the first period we go. The Flyers look to try to get the good start of a good game early, and the score was halfway through the first period as it was approaching, and the presence of Matvei Michkov was be on full display yet again on Saturday night as he set up a pass from Owen Tippett at the 10:45 mark, as Owen Tippett will get credit for his first goal, and quite a while for Tipper to give the Flyers an early 1-0 lead. But the scoring will never be basically after that, the Flyers actually gave up did not give up any opportunities, but it was the standing of the goaltending competition that night of the presence of Flyers goaltender Alexei Kolosov and Jordan Binnington of the St. Louis Blues, as they were nothing short of spectacular on this night after the first two periods and also early in the third period as well. To the third period we go. Inside the 8-minute mark of the third period, St. Louis will get a response, and it was the former Flyer Brandon Chen setting up Dylan Holloway to even the score up at 1-1 after a few minutes later. Not just a few minutes later, the Flyers will get a response later on after a stellar save. Jordan Binnington playing his inner kind of Brian Boucher, if you know what I mean, as JJ brought up on the broadcast. But a rebound finding it was Tyson Forster to give the Flyers a 2-1 lead in the third period. Later on in the third, as the Flyers try to avoid a chance for the Blues, but a puck, after a digging away at the puck, was Jake Neighbors. And whoever got credit for it was either Neighbors or Justin Falk. However, the puck trickled in the net, and just like that, the Blues tied the game up at the end of two. It was a 2-2 tie at the end of regulation. Setting the stage for overtime for the Orange and Black, and the Flyers will do whatever they can to make sure it never happens to a shootout. And the presence, like I mentioned, with Matvei Michkov was on full display yet again. Michkov made his sealing the deal for the Flyers on a breakaway chance in the first minute of overtime to give the Flyers the all-inclusive 2 points and taking it 3-2 over in St. Louis. So and we are also setting the stage here tonight like we always do before this game here tonight. And the setting of the stage for this Flyers-Florida Panther matchup, well, for the Flyers, it's been really effective in so many ways as of lately. And they have looked very good in many ways. Beating teams on their schedule is very important to keep climbing in the Metro. And even more, the good news is seeing their top Flyers, including Travis Konechny and Travis Sanheim, the two Travises, and even Flyers and even defenseman Rasmus Ristolainen being elected to the Four Nations League. I believe that's going to be coming up very, very soon, so I'll keep you posted with that, what's going on. So, like I said, it was Travis Sanheim, Travis Konechny, and Rusto going in. Travis Konechny, Travis Sanheim for Canada, and Rasmus Ristolainen for Finland in that Four Nations team. And it looks like it was very, very well deserved for them, especially when the time calls for them whenever they play that. So I'm guessing it's another World Cup of hockey. This is something kind of new here. I've seen there's a lot of things that I shared on my Facebook. So I believe it was a couple players. It's different players from different teams going with their home teams. It's kind of like the Olympics, but not saying the Olympics. I guess it's like a World Cup of hockey. They always do that every few years, so I'm guessing they brought that back up again. But for Florida's sake, as for the Panthers coming in tonight, I guess they have a little bit of a Stanley Cup hangover. I guess the factor of it is as they try to avoid another game that was lost a couple nights ago as they were up in Pittsburgh. And it looked like the Panthers had to win that game, but they lost it in overtime against the Penguins up in Pittsburgh. So I'll be sure tonight if the Flyers go to overtime once again, I will be sure that the Flyers will have the hot hand. And I advise the Flyers will probably try to go into overtime, and it will be like deja vu for the Flyers once again like they did a few nights ago up in Nashville and again in, like I said, St. Louis, Missouri. All right, let's check out who's trending up and who is trending down on this night. For who's trending up, it's the presence of Matvei Michkov showing off in style yet again, as he's been all season for the Orange and Black, and also the efforts of their netminder is very, very important as well. So the presence of Michkov, Travis Konechny, Rasmus Ristolainen, Travis Sanheim, Sean Couturier, basically, everybody's been stepping up, and especially like a Morgan Frost, who has been playing very, very well ever since being benched by John Tortorella. And the presence of all the other players are playing like they want to play under John Tortorella's system. So it's good to know on that part. And even the net mining, even though seeing Sam Ersson not back in goal tonight for the Orange and Black, the presence of the goaltenders are playing very, very well in Sam Ersson's absences as well. For who's trending down, well, it's a little bit of a tease, but this is something that I noticed from, according to Flyers beat writer Bill Metzler, saying the Flyers are 8 for 31 on the power play, but who is leading the way in that category is, like I said, Matvei Michkov and Travis Konechny, who have 4 power play points apiece between the two, and especially coming into this game tonight, just something to look forward to in this matchup tonight, especially against Florida as they come to South Philly for the first time this season. All right, let's get into our injuries and scratches. It's not a big list here like the Flyers had many times. Obviously, Jamie Drysdale still out for a while now. He's on IR. Nick Delorier is not in the lineup tonight. He is day-to-day. I would best to believe Eric Johnson's back in the lineup tonight after missing a couple games. And like I mentioned, Sam Ersson was a participant, at morning skate on Monday after that, like I said, mini bye week. And it looks like he's back, not back tonight, but looks like he's back to trying to get back with the Flyers as sooner rather than later, according to NBC Sports Philadelphia's Flyers reporter Jordan Hall, who reported that on Monday. Okay, let's get into our starting goaltender matchup for the Flyers tonight. And like it always has for the Orange and Black, it is Ivan Fedotov yet again to start tonight for the Orange and Black, who is a .500 on the year, of 4-4-1, and a goals against average of 3.39. So he's back in goal tonight after a stellar performance on Black Friday against the New York Rangers. He is back in goal tonight for the Orange and Black. And for the Panthers, it will be Spencer Knight, who has the same record as Ivan Fedotov, as he is also 4-4-1 this season and has a goals against average of 2.59 this season for the Florida Panthers. So we're not going to see Sergei Bobrovsky, the former Flyer, in goal tonight. So I'm guessing that will be a good thing to see what the backup has in store tonight for the Florida Panthers as well. And also to see what the Flyers backup, well, not a backup, but I guess you could say he's a starting goaltender until Sam Ersson comes back. Like I mentioned, he had played very, very well for the Orange and Black on that Black Friday game against the Rangers. So he's back in goal tonight and looking to try to be over 500 tonight with a 5-4. Or hopefully we can try to get an overtime point out of it and also have a 5-4. Also try to get him back to 500 with a 5-4-1 record tonight as he takes on the Florida Panthers on this Thursday night here in South Philadelphia, like I mentioned. And for my predictions, well, the Flyers have the hot hand. They got a lot of good players on this team that are really effective. I really do like what they have in store. Florida's coming in tonight. Obviously, they got Matthew Tkachuk, they got Connor Verhaeghe, and even Sam Reinhart, and the list goes on and on for them. So for me, if you can contain all three of them tonight and also got to contain Aaron Ekblad, it will be a good night for the Flyers tonight. So for me, I say the Flyers do win. And if you can get an overtime point out of it, that'll be great as well because we always like winning in overtime, and it will be a little bit of a beast of burden for the Florida Panthers because they lost in overtime, like I mentioned, and early on in this show that they lost in overtime on Tuesday night against the Pittsburgh Penguins up in Pittsburgh. So, as always, that is a wrap for the Hockey Night on Board Flyers pregame show. But remember to stay tuned after the game for the Third Line John postgame show here on Streampunk Entertainment with yours truly, James Scorza, Pat Bernard, and the Gobbler, Pat Bernard, and also the Hammer, Joe Markson, alongside me, yours truly, to recap this Flyers game. Still trying to get my bearings about what I'm going to say with that, but it's all good. Hopefully I'll be back for a post game here and there once in a while for the Eagles. But the next time the Flyers will be playing after tonight on the pregame, it'll be a matinee on Saturday afternoon when the Flyers go up to Boston to take on the Bruins. And they're back home once again on the second game of a back-to-back as they take on the Utah Hockey Club. And that will be on Sunday night at 7 p.m. here in South Philly. Well, like I said, thanks a lot for joining me tonight. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you guys enjoyed the game. Like I said, I'll be back for the post-game show, but until then, this has been the Hockey Night on Board Flyers pregame show, and I'm your host, James Scorza, here saying thanks a lot for joining me tonight, and hopefully down the road, I know not hopefully down the road, but I'll be back once again for another installment of the Third Line John Flyers post-game show. Until then, we'll see you guys on Saturday when the Flyers take on the Bruins, and again on the Utah Hockey Club on Sunday. Until then, thanks a lot for joining me tonight. I'll see you guys right here, back here on when the clock hits 0 for Flyers post-game live. Until then, we'll see you guys next time.